I'm Bruce Jackson. I'm a United Church minister in the town of Athabasca. And one of the honors that I've had is to hear many of the stories of the people that I've ministered amongst.
My name is Cecil Lewis. I was born in Athabasca and I lived most of my life here. Bentley and I were married in 1979, and in 1982 we moved back to the farm west of Athabasca.
The story of the non-polluted, polluted water wells, I guess that's what it is, that was denied and still continues. There's inconclusive evidence that they were polluted. You showed us those documents, Cecil. Those wells were drilled. And how many wells did you have drilled in 1991, I believe?
There were 3.
And can you tell us what happened to the first 2?
They were both, well, the first one was drilled close to the house, and I think they went down about 40 feet, and they hit a strata of sand, I think about 10 feet deep, that was polluted with some sort of substance, which looked like oil.
I remember Bentley often saying it looked like antifreeze. It looked like somebody had just drained the antifreeze out of the radiator, and it was all.
It was sludge. It was like sludge. Yeah.
Sludge.
Yeah. So they moved the drilling rig out closer to the barns where the original well had been, and it had been a good well, but was not anymore. And so they drilled another one there. I think they went down 82 feet. And there was a lot of water, but it too had the same oily substance. So they abandoned that one, moved back closer to the house, and got another drilling rig in to bore a smaller hole. And as they went along, they cased it off as they went through the oil-filled strata of sand and beyond. And they went down, I think, 110 feet, and there was a lot of water, and it was good. And we used that well for all the years that we were there. There were other people in the area that had problems with their wells, but some of them thought it was the seismic crews that were going through, and they would somehow change the water way. But it was never proven. We phoned many people to do with the environment and government people, and was always given just another number to phone.
I remember talking about when they did finally come to test, that they didn't test where your wells were. They went to the far corner of your quarter.
And they didn't go down, they didn't even get to the strata of sand that had the oil in it. They didn't even go down that deep.
So they only went to the coal.
Yes. And that's as far as they went. And said that that's what the oily substance was from the coal. But the people that drilled the water wells said that it was oil, which is written in their drilling statement. We finally got a verbal assumption that the substance was used oil, but we could never get anybody to put that in writing, just that the results of their testing was inconclusive. We went as far as we could to find an answer, and finally gave up on it. And but I'm sure that there are still problems in that area. There have been geophysical crews in there over the years. I can't remember when the last ones were out there, probably in about '98. And they said that that whole area was polluted.
There's a disposal well that was approximately 2 miles to the east or southeast of your place,
Yes.
which perhaps was interjecting materials into the environment. That's speculation, of course, because we don't have the science, obviously.
No, they've been depositing into that well for years.
It's kind of like shoot, shovel, and shut up. You just put it down there and don't talk about it. Often told that I exaggerate things, but I don't have the science. You know, the sacred word science. We have the science. But if you don't test for something, you don't have the science. It's what you don't test for. It's the sin of omission. We don't know what happened. It can't be our fault because we didn't know what was going to happen. They don't commit any sins anymore because they don't know. The oil companies are saying the earth is flat. All the rocks are layered flat and there's no cracks in them, there's no nothing. It's okay for us to do what we do. And the rest of us are saying, well, isn't the world round and the rocks underneath are cracked? All you have to do is look anywhere, the mountains, the hills, when you can see, go down in the river valleys, you see the cracks in the layers of rock. It's just because it's at the surface. Some of the stuff we see at the surface today can be 5 and 6 miles down underground. Mm-hmm. Being a science graduate from the university, knowing that every experiment you had always said, this will be true under these circumstances, but would not necessarily be true because of other extraneous factors that have not been considered, would not necessarily yield the same result. You had to write that on every science paper, lab that you ever did. If we can't start being honest with each other and where we're going and how we're living, and what are the young people, you know,
the same old places surrounded by demons and evil faces. Oh, you're somewhere up above where grace is watching over me. I dreamt that we were chasing horses in the devil's field.